Good morning, Kansas City. Welcome to another wonderful day out here in our city and another episode of Life After KCPS. You're joining us today on another extension of Real World Learning. And if you're joining us for the first time, this is one of many episodes where I've had a chance to reach back and ask some of my students or people I've known from the past in Kansas City public schools about what their life is like now that they've graduated and gone about with their adulthood. So joining me this morning is another one of these wonderful graduates of Paseo Academy, an artist and musician and contributor to our city, Salaam. So let's welcome Shak. And I would say I'm even featuring one of his designs myself. And if you see any similarity right there, that's because we planned this very well. And I made sure I wore this shirt for this interview today. So Shak, take us back, man. It's what year did you graduate from Paseo Academy?
I graduated in 2009.
2009. All right, well, wind it back for us. That's been quite a few, 12 years ago or so, right? Not
Right.
like just yesterday. What do you
Right.
remember the most about 2009, kind of the final experiences at Paseo? Let's just explore that for a minute. Like, take me back to 2009. What was going on for you?
That's that's it's been a minute, so my memory may be a little bit foggy. You know, I I was about the same height, same type of person. I had actually, when I graduated, or right before I graduated, Miss Saul had entered me into a contest, art contest, and I won. And the way that I found out that I was even entered into the contest was the fact that I won the contest. So, and it was with the self-portrait. And that summer, my parents had took me to Washington, D.C. And we went to Washington, D.C. The prize was a trip to Washington, D.C. And we got to see my art in one of, the historical buildings there. And I can't specify which one because I don't remember. But and it was a self-portrait. So I had my face like just in one, in a historic building for a year and a half. I have it now with me. And that was the same year that Michael Jackson passed away too.
Wow. Okay. So that's a memory that stands out from that year, and good deal that she entered you in that contest. She's great about that. I remember her very well. She kind of secretly surprised people with, "Hey, by the way, and you won."
Right.
That's really cool. All right. What else do you remember? What were you active in? What were you doing in the days of Paseo, kind of leading up to the finale?
See, I definitely wasn't doing music, and that's something that I started after school. But there was a lot of art programs going on. I wish I could remember so better, but there was a lot of art programs going on, and I'm sure that I remember I was part of one with Miss Saul, and we did it was like a program where we went to the Art Institute of Kansas City, and we did a project with the seniors there. So like we were seniors going to do art with other seniors from college. So that was a big deal for me because I got to see what the artistic world looks like for people much older than me. And well, not much, you know what I mean, but
yeah, at the time they seem so much older, but really,
right, yeah.
At
the time I was like, hey, you're almost dead. That's how it felt. No. But yeah, right. No, like when you're young, you see the world in different lenses, and then as you grow up, as you get older, it becomes more clear.
Very true. And we don't seem as far apart in age all of a sudden once we get older, because
exactly
everybody says, "Oh, it's not. It's just a number. It's
exactly
nothing."
It's right? Like you're basically my age, except for college.
Right. Once you get out and have all this burden and pressure, and the real world comes crashing down on you, it doesn't necessarily matter what age you are. It's still there for you. Well, very cool. So I remember that well because I was there too. And you didn't dabble in music as much as some of your rest of your family with
Right.
Malik and Suli were definitely on stage more. I remember
Yeah.
that. So what do you remember, I guess, that turned you into this? What do you think did it for you? You were like, I'm going to start doing music.
Well, it actually happened, all of it, like just all of a sudden in one day. Like my parents, my parents did music while I was growing up. Suli started pretty young, and you know, I kind of got into it, but I was more so like, this is a hobby. This is something that I like to do in my spare time because I have the access to it. Because my parents had a studio up, in our house. So like when I became, like, when I was like 17, my dad was finally like, okay, I trust you to use my equipment as long as you don't mess nothing up, because that stuff expensive.
Yeah.
So like from 17 till like probably 21, I was like, yeah, no, this is something that I just like doing to
Yeah.
kind of get out however I feel for the day, or what I mean, things like that. But it turned, like when I was 21, I was like in the studio with a group of my friends that went to Paseo, and we were talking about how life is going so far, and you know what why what we like about doing music versus anything else. And it was, it kind of thing, it was like a light bulb. It's like, this is actually what I like. I love doing. Like, I love art, and I still do that to this day as well. But um for me, it's like I can be more creatively myself doing music rather than doing art, because with my experience, I usually tend to, like, I've been doing art projects for other people. So it's like I'm bringing their vision to life, whereas music, I can bring my own vision to life.
Very cool. Very cool. And the older we get, that's more like, what's our style, what's our art, or even so, like maybe just to turn it into for income, not to do our own stuff, but to make some bucks doing everybody else's stuff.
Exactly.
So
And that's kind of how art turned into for me. It's like I was doing my own stuff for forever, and around the same time when I turned 21, I like, I got to that point where I'm like, I hate, like, I like, not necessarily hate, because like I still love doing art, but it's like you get to a brick wall where you feel like your creativity is based on other people's visions, and that's where I got, because I was like only doing that type of art. I wasn't doing my own stuff. So
very cool. Well, let's explore that then for a minute. So you're talking about your own stuff. What kind of stuff are you creating? What are you getting out? I guess I'm more interested in like the content, and what you're going into with your artwork. What do you think you're trying to do with that art form?
With music?
Yeah, like what are you exploring? Are there certain ideas you're exploring, certain kinds of music you're exploring?
Well, actually, more recently, I'm trying to venture off into other genres. Like, I don't want to, you know, feel like I'm stuck in one lane. You know what I mean? Like, I kind of gotta veer off a little bit. So I'm experimenting here and there. I can't guarantee that there will be too much that'll come out from that, but definitely am venturing off. And like, I have a project that I'm working on actually now, where I'm putting my entire family on it. It's more than likely still going to be hip hop, pop, R&B, but it's just I want it to be like my experience, growing up, kind of like, not necessarily like, oh, I was a baby and then I was this. It's more like, my brother Suli had a song about how we are all programmed, to be who we are from birth, and I want to kind of ride that concept. So it's like, Suli is one person, and obviously I am not the same person as him, but
Right.
we have the same two parents. We grew up in the exact same house. We just experienced different things. So I kind of wanted to tell my story.
Very cool. The autobiography of Shaquille Salaam.
Right.
Right. Very cool. I like it. All right. So that makes a lot of sense, and kind of a groundbreaking way to start is
Right.
kind of figuring out your vision, your voice. All right. So let's rewind a little bit now that we've been kind of in the current. Take me back. You walked across the stage at Paseo. That did happen, right?
Hmm.
Yeah. And then what happened like that summer? Or what do you remember about? Because what this show is helping is young people who come out of the system having thought maybe that they don't have as many options as they do, or have really not really had a chance as much as they want to sit down and just think it through. So what did it feel like walking the stage and then suddenly having the world in front of you? And what was like your next move, if you remember?
Well, I was really just more so focused on college at the time. I'm
Okay.
sorry, my sons.
No, that sounds like part of the situation as well, right? You have a son.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. True. Yeah.
Okay.
He's amazing. He's just, Junior.
Hey,
Junior.
Junior.
Over
He's making cameos in this
there.
interview.
Right. Always.
Totally fine. This is called real world learning. There he is.
Thank you. Say hi.
Hey, Junior.
Hi.
Hi. Do you go to Gordon Parks?
Who are you talking to?
We have a park right up the hill from us. It's the Blue Valley Park.
Oh,
It's right up the hill, so we spend most of our time up there.
I was checking out his T-shirt where it said Gordon Parks.
Oh yeah, his mom gave him that, so that's probably
Right.
I don't know. That's probably something they do, because he was just over there the other day, and they hang out a lot. But yeah, that summer,
The summer after you graduated, right?
right after I graduated, I was really more so focused on college, because that's what my parents wanted me to do, and it wasn't like an idea that I had for myself. I kind of, as an artist, you think you get out of high school, you know what you know from high school, and you're an artist, so you could like go to the plaza or something and start, just do caricatures of people. That's the kind of ideas that I had in my head. Like, I'm not gonna go off to college and do, and study and everything. I'm just gonna go start exploring my art. I'll go to the plaza and draw the buildings, or I'll go down there and stop people and ask them if I could do a caricature. But at the same time, I was 18. I didn't know much about the real world. So you get out there, and then that real world hits you in the face really quick. So like went down there to the plaza for like I think it was the second or third day of my summer. And I go down to the plaza with a big gigantic sketchbook and everything. People stopping me like, oh, what you gonna do and everything. And I'm telling them. And then I start setting up, and the security guard's like, yeah, you can't do this without a permit. And I'm like, okay, well, I don't know what that is. You know what I mean? So let me go. And then, those ideas kind of, went away eventually. And I ended up going to college, but it was like I went to Penn Valley, and which was cool. But for me, it felt a lot like high school.
Yeah.
So
You know who Chelsea Potts is? Do you know that name?
I want to say yes.
Don't say, but I went to Penn Valley like it was a bad thing or like lesser.
Right.
But
No, it wasn't.
I just interviewed her, Chelsea Potts. That's how I knew her when she went there. She is now the dean of students at Penn Valley.
Oh, really?
Yes, she's from Paseo, 2007, I think, and I just talked to her recently. But I mean, this network's real, man. Like, she came out of Paseo and had kind of a lower grade point average, and we talked during her interview on. It wasn't like she was done. It wasn't like we could predict her success based on her lower grade point average. And I was excited as heck to learn that she's the dean of students at Penn Valley, right? So
that's amazing.
Yeah. So tell me about Penn Valley. What did you do at Penn Valley? Because it's not a bad place to go to school.
No, it's not. Don't get my story and tell it wrong. The only reason why I have some type of distance there is because that's not what I wanted to do. That's all that is. I just didn't want to go to college at all, but I was doing it for the sake of my parents wanted me to succeed, and I didn't understand the idea of success, at the time.
Gotcha. No, I'm not beating you up for taking
I'm just like, hold up.
Not at all. I just want people listening to know it's a valuable chance. Sometimes community college
definitely
is less expensive, right? A little less expensive, and a way
it gets the job done, and it puts you, like, especially when you're in a bad situation, it puts you on your feet really quick.
And you can think about it. Yeah, you can ponder what you're going to do instead of spending $40,000 and not knowing what you're going to do. Right.
Yeah, and that's I went to Penn Valley, met up with a few people that went to Paseo as well.
Yeah.
We
got a network. Okay, and you got some people.
I had a network. Kind of hung out every day. It was more for me. My experience was more about my friends rather than actual school, because I wasn't focused. So, and my dad had also started a restaurant at the time too, so I was working there, and so like my day consisted of going to school and talking to my friends. Like that's what I was focused on, and then I would leave school and go to work.
Hard. Yeah. Is the restaurant still around?
No, sadly, no. It was on 69th and Prospect. It was called Salaam Cafe, and it was amazing stuff. But eventually, the landlord wanted the spot back, so my dad had to kind of venture off and try to find somewhere else. But he has yet to find something so far.
Gotcha. Yeah, I know it's hard for new businesses and restaurants these days. Right. All right, so that's your Penn Valley experience. If we just did like what's next, what came after that? Because I think there's a couple years in between that experience and where you are now.
Yeah,
right?
Definitely.
All right. Any other twists and turns in there? Any unexpecteds and new paths during that time?
Well, I wouldn't say exactly. Well, yeah, actually, yes. I formed my little group of friends from Penn Valley. That's who I was doing music with at the time. We did, mixtapes here and so on and so forth. But that was still around the time that I wasn't taking music so seriously. Within that moment, and I forgot, I left this part out of the story of how I became into music. I was like, this is what I want to do. There was a couple of times where we had got contacted by people who are claiming to be a big, part of a big company who wants to sign us. And I'm like, what? Like, this is something, but like if they're looking at me, then maybe I am doing something, and it gets to that point where you're like, you're like, this may be what I want to do, because I see that I can do this, like, so there was a couple of times within that where no, go. There was a couple of times where those things happened. People reached out to us, and it escalated our interests basically, and there was a few falling outs within the friend group, of course, so within that, that's why we didn't end up taking those offers, and we started doing shows and getting more into it, and that's around the same time that I ended up kind of on my own doing music by myself, and that's also around the same time that I became Green Canvas rather than anything like a group, right? Green Canvas.
Right. So that's your design. You designed the shirts and the logo, right?
Yes, I created the logo.
Right.
I make all the covers of every music, every song and everything. Any music videos that have been released, I shot them myself. The most recent one I shot in my kitchen. So,
cool.
You kind of have to do with what you have sometimes.
Very cool. All right. Well, hey, we could talk forever. We maybe should down the road.
Right.
I love this music scene myself. I love following both you and your brother and what's going on. But we are kind of bringing this show to an end. And so the final thing we would talk about for listeners out there and for you to just, throw Kansas City some ideas. What do you think young people might need to hear today in this world that we live in order to keep pushing for what they want? Just a tiny bit of advice or wisdom from someone who's already been out there in the world and talking back to those who are about to go there themselves. What do you think somebody needs to hear these days?
Honestly, the biggest thing that could have helped me when I was that age, you know, don't put all your eggs in one basket. That's what my dad used to tell me that all the time. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. I wanted to be a visual artist, from when I was like 5 till I was about 20, and like I still love doing it to this day. I'll do it all day. I still do work for other people, but at the end of the day, I chose music, and that's the path that I'm driving in. So, be open to new ideas, regardless of where they come from. Just be open. You don't have to take them from face value. Just be open. That's what I say.
Awesome. Well, thank you for your time, rewinding your story and helping other people listen to your options out there in this world. And like, I think what Shak's telling us is, it's never really over. Things get permission to change, but it's a good idea to keep your options open to lots of different things. I bet you get back into visual art and have a reason for it, and have more customers or have more album covers or have more of something. And then you've got that skill with you. So I also am excited to see just your entrepreneurial side and things that, the Salams do a lot of in your world. Things I could learn from your brother, the things you could learn from your brother, I bet,
Right.
And things he learned from other people also. So I appreciate that. And I know the risk is great to go out there on your own like that. And I respect that 100% for what that takes to do so. So right now, we're just going to say thank you to Shak for being on here and providing such interesting content, and wish him the best. And for the rest of Kansas City, hope you're having a great day and a great rest of your week. We're signing off.